Welcome to another edition of the Trahern Crews Show. Today we're honored to have Erica Valliant. She's running for St. Paul School Board here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Say what's up to Black Watch Television.
What's up, y'all?
Uh, Erica, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and things like that.
Yeah, I actually grew up in Chicago, moved here in 2023 when my oldest son was just 1 year old, and I've been here ever since. I've got five boys now, ages 21 to 4. All of them either are in or graduated from St. Paul Public Schools. I've experienced some things. I've experienced homelessness, as a child and also as an adult with my children, and gotten through that with the help of community and advocacy work, and just learning how to navigate systems and advocate for myself with other parents and community members. I have worked in financial services for years. I had previously been licensed to trade securities, so like stocks and bonds and things like that, in supervision. But that was boring to me because I'm just not into it. I really like community work. So,
Indeed.
I ended up at the Science Museum of Minnesota for a while, and then I moved into um, managing a whole family systems initiative for people serving people, which is what I do full time right now. In addition, I serve on a few boards, Victoria Theater here in Frogtown, as well as the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless and Summit University Planning Council.
You got a nice resume here that we were checking out.
Thank you.
Well, and I know you said the some of the financial work was a little boring, but what else pushes you so hard to do all of the community work that you're engaged in right now?
I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is just me feeling like always having this feeling of knowing that I could do more or do something that's more fulfilling to help more than just me. When I was working in financial services, it was good. It was good money and everything, but I kind of felt like I was wasting my life because I'm like, I could be doing something that's more meaningful to me,
Mm.
And more meaningful to other people. I was so unfulfilled. It was almost depressing. So, I really am just passionate about community work. I think maybe because of some experiences that I have, growing up as a kid in the 80s and early 90s. I was born in 79. Not to give everybody my age, but I don't mind.
That's okay.
However, I was a person who was like in the midst of the crack epidemic and the AIDS epidemic, and it touched my family personally. My mom passed away from AIDS in 1995, and a lot of her friends and other people who were around were addicted to crack, and were also, during the same time that she was being diagnosed and like passing away, like right after another. And I was 14 at the time. So
Wow.
I've been through a lot, and I know that things can be better, and I know that people struggle, and I know that a lot of times it's out of their hands, but that doesn't mean that they don't need help and support. And just because they're not at their best right now, that also doesn't mean that they're lazy or that they don't care about things. And I like to be a voice and like hopefully like a little tiny light of hope for somebody, to say, she went through all this and made it through, and she is continuing to find a way to thrive, and I can do it too, right?
Indeed. That's wow. That's a powerful testimony. Thank you for sharing that with us. What made you decide to run for school board?
So it's a lot of things. I have been thinking about it before. I'm saying before, like it's a different decade. Well, I guess it is a different decade. My 21-year-old was in school before he graduated. He graduated from Central in 2020 during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about it then, but when he was young, I didn't really know how to like enter into things like this. So I just kind of did other things like volunteered and showed up to help teachers and, went on field trips and stuff like that. After I became homeless and um, got into, got connected with a housing program, and that housing program is called Homework Starts with Home. I was connected to Elder Pam and the Cultural Wellness Center, and at that time, St. Paul Promise neighborhood, and they were doing advocacy work to keep that housing program alive for other families. And so when I got started doing that advocacy work, I started meeting other people and being introduced to other circles. I joined the community equity pipeline. It's now called Community Equity Program through Wilder, where they teach you a lot about the legislative process in Minnesota. And that's really where I started thinking more about running for office after I'd been like introduced to the process and some people that are or were holding office, and understanding that it's not something that I can't do.
Indeed. Let's talk about some of the issues real quick that you're running on, and then I'm gonna just start with one that's important to me. The city of St. Paul is one of the biggest cities in America to pass a reparations resolution. Where do you stand on the reparations issue?
Where do I stand on it? I mean, I think that it's important that we find a way to give reparations.
Indeed. Thank you. And then I see you also been working on eliminating disparities. Um, what does that look like in St. Paul Public Schools?
So it looks like a lot of things. It looks like recognizing the inequities in our system, the reason for those inequities, the fact that we have these inequities because they were intentionally built in. We know that America and all its states were rooted in racism for financial gain. Well, it turned out to be racism the way that they did things, but it was all for financial gain, and with that came a lot of like the habit of oppressing, right? And oppressing through policy, oppressing through violence, oppressing through suppression, oppression through what word do I want to say? Oppression through making sure that others, specifically, Black people, were not able to be financially stable.
Okay.
And so, how does this come out, right? So it comes out in lots of ways. The ways that sometimes interactions happen between families and staff, or children and staff. Some of it is cultural difference, right? But some of that cultural difference is, racial bias that people don't always know that they have. But I think that it's important, especially in the school system, for people to our staff to understand that we all have bias, and many of us have maybe more racial bias than we think we do, and to be aware enough of that you can question your own actions, or question the way that you are reacting to a family, or reacting to a child, or treating a child differently.
Definitely. And that brings us to so I know there's a video on your page. I didn't get to check it all out, but it's speaking about reducing discipline. Is that
Yes.
something? Can you want to chime in on that a little bit?
Yes, and I was specifically talking about reducing suspensions because, um, Black children and indigenous children or American Indian children are being suspended disproportionately. But not only that, when they are suspended, they're just out of school. They don't have anything in place for them. They don't have any system in place to continue their learning while they're out of the classroom.
Mm.
Right. So it's I feel like, if it's not okay for the parents to decide not to send their kids to school, then what's the difference for if the school is deciding that the student shouldn't be in school? They're still missing school, right? And the parents, if they're the ones, because of the child missing school, then they are under the threat of the law,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But the school system doesn't have that same, I guess, level of accountability um, or any reason to have that kind of fear. And so it's not that I want there to be a fear, but what I do want is the understanding that a child missing school is a child missing school,
Right.
no matter where it comes from. And if you don't have anything in place to make sure that you are at least attempting to continue their education while they are out of the classroom, then you're just doing more harm.
Wow. Wow. That's a great way to look at it and a new answer. Um, so straight from your platform, making sure students graduate with strong financial, not just literacy, but strong financial literacy skills. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, to put it in a nutshell, we are graduating our seniors when they're just about 18, and they are leaving our district, going straight into college loans, college student credit cards, car notes, leases. They are at an age where they can legally enter into contracts and be held accountable to those contracts. Uh, and most of them are financial contracts. And so I think that it makes
Mm.
sense that we should be teaching them about this before we send them out into the world. There's no reason why they should be going out and, having a surprise, not knowing what credit is or how it works or what it means when you sign your name and say you're going to pay something back, what an interest rate is, what's the APR, what's amortization, right? Those are things that our kids are should be able to understand, at least, by the time they get to high school or have been being introduced to throughout their school age career, so that when they graduate, they're prepared to be financially savvy. If not savvy, at least they have seen these terms. At least they've been introduced to them. It's not a foreign language all of a sudden and they're just responsible for it.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, because the I know the student loan debt. Like you're saying, kids are graduating from high school and then going to college and immediately being saddled with debt just from trying to get higher education and things like that. So, making sure students promoting critical thinking and practice.
Hmm. So, I mean, that's really, and again, like to speak on it in high level terms, our kids, or a lot of our kids anyway, they are um they have access to information from so many different places. Not all of the information is good information. Um, and we need to make sure that they understand that they need to question, that they may need to do some research on their own, that everything that comes through TikTok or, YouTube or Instagram is not necessarily to be trusted. Not because it's not trustworthy. It could just be that they don't know that it's not meant to be true, right? But when I was growing up, I had to go to the library and rifle through encyclopedias. Okay, information was not as accessible.
Yeah.
All they have to do is turn on their phone, go to their computers or their iPad or what have you, and they've got so many apps or websites where they're just inundated with information, like from everywhere. So we need to make sure that they know how to like function in this kind of world, right? So that they are still thinking for themselves.
Right. And when you say in practice, what does that mean?
Um, so and practice is basically just the practice of thinking for yourself,
Okay.
right? Finding out for yourself, questioning that information. Um, you know, some people don't like kids to question them, and maybe that's just from the generation that we were growing up in. I kind of don't mind. I can't answer all the time. Sometimes I'm like, I can't answer you right now, and I'm talking about my kids. But
Right.
I appreciate that they are thinking about it, right? Because that's how you learn. And so, to an extent, right, I like to encourage that.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and yeah, we've seen some issues happening in our school recently that have been very alarming. So another one of your platform planks are or is addressing school culture and safety.
Hmm.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So, school culture and safety can look like a lot of things, more than one thing. So, it's not only safety from like physical violence, it's also safety in the um, safety from the stance of what we were speaking of earlier, um, feeling not feeling like you are constantly under attack of microaggressions. Um, that the staff and the students and the family um, are creating are feel like that the culture of the school is I don't want to say safe again, but I want to say inviting,
Right.
welcoming, that they feel cared for, that they don't feel dismissed, right? Because a lot of times what happens is, maybe students and or their family don't feel cared for or listened to. They feel dismissed, and then it comes out as um, people perceive that reaction as being combative or uncooperative or whatever, what have you, but that they're only seeing like one side of the coin.
Mm.
So, like, school culture and safety is the responsibility of everybody. So the staff, the students, and the families. Um, but it's the responsibility of the staff first to help create that culture.
Indeed. Um, so yeah, if people want to donate or if people want to um, volunteer or talk to you and do more interviews with you, how can they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me through my website. It is valiantsforschoolboard.com. That is V as in Victor, ALLIA, N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, forschoolboard.com. And you can click on contact me if you want to sign up as a volunteer. There is a tab where you can sign up to be a volunteer, and there is also a tab where you can donate to my campaign.
Awesome. Are there any dates coming up that people should be aware of? Caucuses, open houses, anything that you have coming up on the horizon that you want to let people know about?
Um, Not that I have planned right now. There will be a, a city. convention coming up for the DFL endorsement. And I will have other events coming up, but I don't have them scheduled yet. However, if you go to my website and go to the events page, you'll see that's where I'll be updating any events that I have coming up in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking some time out your day to come talk to the Trahern Crews Show and Black Watch Television. We look forward to having you back on as we get closer to the election, and we wish you the best.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And that was Erica Valliant. She's running a great campaign here in the city of St. Paul. She's running for school board in the city of St. Paul. And check out her website. You'll see her out door knocking and doing things like that. So take some time to talk to her. Again, we got Juneteenth coming up. That's June 19th. That's going to be at the Minnesota State Capitol. You can go to the Black Lives Matter Minnesota page on Facebook to find out more, or you can go to www.blacklivesmattersmn.com and check out the events that we have coming there. I think we have the Stolen Lives event coming up, and I believe that's April 22nd, and that will be over at 4200 Cedar. That's in collaboration with Communities United Against Police Brutality, Racial Justice Network, Family Supporting Families, and Twin Cities Coalition Justice for Jamar, and a couple more great social justice organizations, grassroots organizations here in the Twin City. Don't forget, this program and others will be rebroadcasted on www.blacktvs.com or Black Watch Television on your Roku channel. Have a prosperous week. Peace.